Am I here to think that the APC is the best thing to happen to Nigeria? I'll be a fool to say so. Am I here to say that there are no thieves within the APC? I'll be a fool to say so.
Hello, I am your friend on this channel, Chris Ekpekurede. I'm an engineer, I'm a writer, publisher of a number of books, and an elder of the Church of Christ. Welcome to my channel. Now you know now, you will help me like this video, you will share it, and please by all means, do subscribe. Now, what do I have for us today? Now, 4 years ago, the Sahara reporters had an interview of Festus Keyamo. That was 4 years ago. Now, for those who do not know Festus Keyamo, he is a serving minister of the Buhari government. Beyond that, he is a very strong mouthpiece of the Tinubu campaign organization. I regard Festus Keyamo as my brother, an admirer that he hasn't quite met. You see, we are both Urobos from Delta State. He is of the Uvie extraction, Amanokbe. You see, the brilliance and the eruditeness of this Urobo scholar always impresses me, especially when he converses frankly, as he did in that particular interview. Now, by the way, I agree with most of the things he said in that interview. Keyamo is a confident and bold person, and I like such people. I truly admire him. When I watched that video, that interview recently, it was so down to earth. I could not resist the temptation to inject myself into the conversation. Just watch.
Some time ago, you made a statement, and I'm going to quote you, word for word. And you said, and I quote, "How I wish there is a third power block order. We can start thinking about how to take over from this one. A strong political and ready order in a vibrant and energetic young Nigerian. But believe you me, there is none yet at the moment. So we just have to keep making do with this one." When I read the statement, what you're trying to say is that we have to be tolerant with this administration. In fact, we have to bear with all of their mistakes and all of their flaws. But you mentioned also that there is an absence of a third power block. What do you mean by that phrase?
Now, before Keyamo answers that question, let me quickly comment that the third force that he so dreamed about 4 years ago is actually here with us. It has emerged and has matured as Peter Obi and the Labour Party. It has emerged and matured as the irrepressible obedient movement. My brother Keyamo may not acknowledge this truth today because the cruelty of fate has turned things around, and today he now speaks for Tinubu. It is a situation I consider totally alien to the true values that Keyamo represents as a human rights activist. You see, I see Keyamo as an obedient who strayed away from home. I eagerly look forward to my brother returning back home. I pray for this constantly to happen. I do. Now, here is his answer 4 years ago.
There's a bit of history behind this. Before 1999, we had so many, groups, civil society, radical groups that were fighting the military, the DECO, JACON, and all kinds of groups. who were opposed to military rule and wanted the military out. The mistake that we all made at that time, and they all realized it later, the Ganifa Emis, the Bekora, some Kutis, the Femi Fala, all of these are leaders at that time, Wole Soyinka, those who fought the military, who really, really fought the military and called international attention to what was happening in Nigeria, they were not ready for political power. They were fighting the military without having a political party in mind. Or like the African National Congress. The African National Congress was a ready political force fighting white minority rule, ready to take over power. The moment the white minority rule was overthrown, the ANC stepped in and provided leadership. The radical group was not ready for leadership. The real core politicians, most of them, who had no history of struggle, in fact, who were even part of Abacha's transition program, they were the ones who were ready. So we were fighting for them. Take note of what I'm saying. When we were fighting to push out the military, in actual fact, we were fighting for them. We were not fighting for the Nigerian poor and for us. Because what happened? They were the ones who were ready politically. And most of those people were the ones who went to PDP at that time. They were the ones who went to PDP at that time. Most of those people in the 5 leprous fingers of Abacha who formed the 5 political, they found their way into PDP. So when the military exited, they were the ones who were ready for power. They were the ones who brought Obasanjo out of prison, made him their presidential candidate, and they won the election. We found ourselves back in the trenches again, most of us. Why? Because we discovered at that time that we were just being stupid. We were being stupid because we just fought for the same status quo, the same people to take over power in another name. And so we began to call for restructuring, call for sovereign national conference, they didn't listen, of course, because food was ready on the table and they were all, they were all eating at that time. Politics took off and politics drowned the voice of everybody. Now, before we knew it, in 2003, they had, of course, amassed enough money and they had stolen enough money at that time, the first 4 years and all that. In 2003, that was when a few of us now scrambled, and said, oh, they knew that the train was leaving. The political train had taken off. And so people like Ganifa Emi now rushed and formed the National Conscience Party. He now became the presidential candidate. He knew he had to get power. And so most radicals then, I can mention most of their names, you know them. They all formed part of the National Conscience Party. Some contested for senatorial candidates, contested for this and that and all of that. And of course, almost everybody lost at that time because the political train had taken off. They drowned their voices with monies and monies they had acquired and all of that at that time. And then it was then we knew that we had lost out in the political struggle. Now, Ganifa Emi was, of course, very frustrated, my late boss. Now, the PDP began to grow into like an octopus, a political octopus. Everybody was tired of the PDP and the ways of the PDP. They became so politically arrogant. At a point, they could just pick anybody as even a dog and all that, say put PDP on it, the PDP will win. So the process of struggle began all over again. The struggle to dismount this octopus, who we felt they were not executing, pro-people policies. They were not in tune with the Nigerian people. It was all the same old politicians and all of that. The struggle started all over again. And so most of us spoke out against the PDP, and also, joined forces, civil society forces and all that against the PDP. But at the end of the day, after all this, trial and error, 2003, 2007, 2011, all the pockets of opposition could not find their way to dismantle the PDP. In 2015, and before 2015, of course, you know what happened. That was when the platform of the APC was formed. The APC now opened his wing to say, oh, everybody come on board. Remember when they reformed the APC, they said, labor movements are allowed. Civil society groups come in. Not just political parties. They said they were opening their wings to all kinds of tendencies. All we needed to do was to dislodge the PDP, who said they were going to be in power for 60 years. The APC became something like the Abiola struggle. to push out the PDP. So it's not like we were blind enough to think that, oh, everybody in APC, they were saints, or everybody in APC, they were like some angels coming from heaven. There were core politicians there too. There were people who had, of course, soiled their hands in the ruling party at that time too. There were people who defected. But at that point, everybody needed a platform, because in 2003, 2007, 2011, all the pockets of opposition, nobody could push the PDP out. So they needed a platform. The ready platform at that time was the APC. And so everybody joined forces together and pushed out the PDP.
Brilliant analysis, I confess. I agree with Keyamo completely. You see, Keyamo saw the APC as a type of the Abiola struggle, a platform that was needed at that time to see out and remove the inept and corrupt PDP government of the day. Keyamo fell for it. I fell for it too. I voted Buhari and APC in 2015. I too was tired of the PDP.
We needed to look forward. And that is the situation we find ourselves now. Am I here to think that the APC is the best thing to happen to Nigeria? I'll be a fool to say so. Am I here to say that there are no thieves within the APC? I'll be a fool to say so. Will I be here to defend the APC as the purest political party, as the cure all and be all, and the and the cure all cure elixir we have been looking for? I'll be a fool to say so. No. But at a point, some 2-3 years ago, it's represented the only hope we had to push out the PDP. Having done that, we need to look forward. In looking forward, just like happened during the June 12 struggle, we can't be looking back to say we want to go back to where we are coming from. We want to go back to the era of impunity of the PDP, to the era of impunity of open roguery and stealing of the PDP. We can't go back to that era until we get that third force ready, platform, that people who are dissatisfied with the way APC is running the government, they can migrate to and begin to fight for the true interest of the people of this country. Until we get that platform, we are going to play back. We are going to be playing right into the hands of the PDP again. If we start to call for change, like it happened in pre-1999, that's why I talked about that history. That's why I related that history. If we start to say struggle again, without being ready for political power, the radicals are not ready for political power now. They have not formed themselves into a political bloc. They are not ready for political power. So if we now participate in a struggle to unseat the status quo now, what we're actually doing, like we did in 1999, is to campaign for the PDP. See, until we are ready with a true people's party, a third force, ready to take over power, ready, not all these, I'm sorry to use the word that Yoruba, alawada, not all these comedians we see around who say they are forming political party. They are not ready for power.
Now, like me, Brother Keyamo has seen the hollowness of the APC. My brother, by your own words, you can't vouch for many of the politicians of the APC, some of whom you actually describe as thieves. In fact, the APC has turned out to be the other side of the PDP coin. My brother, Keyamo, if you are truly concerned for the interests of the people whom you have stood for over the years, why continue to stick with the APC? As the Bible says, please come out from among them, I beg you. You see, the revolutionaries are missing you, my dear brother Keyamo. Don't allow history to judge you on its wrong side. The third force that you dreamed about, the true People's Party that you yearned for years ago, is here. It is the Labour Party. It is Peter Obi. That is whom you dreamed about in that interview with Sahara Reporters 4 years ago. You see, it is only the blind and the deaf that we fail to perceive the revolution that the Labour Party and Peter Obi represent today. My brother, this is the Abiola type revolution that moved you many years ago. I urge you, as you did at that time, to respond to it.
I'm not a realist. I'm a pragmatist. I want to change the order. I want to work with people on the ground to change the order.
Nothing stops you from championing.
Anything beyond that, you will be a comedian, just shouting in your house.
Yes, like I said, nothing stops you from starting one.
Of course. Once I know that the platform is broad enough, I don't want to be. And let me tell you this. Nigerians do not appreciate anyone coming from nowhere. Like I said, we don't know what we want. I tweeted a few weeks ago. I said we don't know what we want. We are calling for change. We are the same people who will mock any new face coming out to say, announce that I want to contend for presidency. We don't want to see new faces on the scene. Once we see new faces, we begin to mock them. So what do we want as Nigerians? Let's ask ourselves, what do we want? After abusing the politicians, we all expect one of them, one of those corrupt blocks or political blocks we abuse so much, we still expect them to produce candidates that we take seriously. Anybody outside that, we don't take the person seriously.
Well, as the realist and pragmatist I agree you are, once again, Brother K, return back home. As you said, please don't join others to mock Peter Obi simply because he's a new face. Why support one of the old blocks, as you call them? Why? You see, recently, your principal, Tinubu, came to Delta State to campaign. Sadly, I watched you stand before him, or beside him rather, and goad him on. You were even clapping for him. As usual, Tinubu spoke completely out of turn, and you were urging him on. I looked at you and I said to myself, no. This is not the Keyamo we know. This is not the Keyamo that I admire. My brother, I beg you, I use God to beg you, return home. Just listen to yourself.
Sometimes when you talk, most people tend to think that you are a very ardent Buharist, supporter of this administration. And I know that I remember, as most Nigerians do, that when this administration was coming to power, there were a lot of promises made. In fact, 3 million jobs per year, pump price to 45 naira, 145 naira, or whatever. And, lots of too many promises. And, we're back to unemployment rate from 14.2 to 18.2. And, so many issues as at this time. Do you really think that this administration would fulfill all of these promises?
No, I don't think so. I think that it underestimated the challenges that it met on the ground. Now, what is happening to this administration is like the driver of a trailer, of a vehicle, maybe a big trailer, that wants to give the driver the keys of the vehicle to another driver to take off from a bus stop. And before the car or the trailer gets to that bus stop, just before it gets to the bus stop, the driver comes down, removes most of the essential parts of the trailer, removes the battery, removes everything, and then hands over the trailer to the next driver to say, now, you can take off from there. Even removes the ball joints and all the ball joints and all that. And everybody will say, oh, well, but the driver drove the car successfully to this bus stop. Why can't you just take off now? Why can't you take off now? Because that driver drove it successfully to this bus stop. That's exactly what is happening to this government. Was the naira $150 to a naira to a dollar when they handed over? No, it was not 150. It was already 220. At the point of May 29, 1999, it was already 220. naira to $1. So the slide has started. Whereas it was 150 almost throughout when the oil prices reached its peak. It maintained 150, about 150, 155 for a long time during Jonathan's administration. That's why I said it was like a vehicle that was virtually useless when you were handing over the vehicle. These citizens are suffering, and I must acknowledge that. But do you give the trailer back to that same person who destroyed it? That's the question facing us.
Of course, no, Brother Keyamo. God forbid bad thing. We won't hand over the trailer to PDP or even the APC, which you still represent and speak for, quite unfortunately. Please don't throw away your values. Your values brought you to the limelight. Does it not comfort you, Brother FK, that PO promises he will not complain about the trailer if and when he takes over as its driver? He has pledged to fix the trailer and get it moving once again, once he comes into power. Please, don't imagine that or think or say that you will lose face if you leave the APC or that you may be persecuted. Let me ask you, Brother Keyamo, what ill treatment didn't you endure in the past when you stood on the side of the people? You have seen 99. What is 100, as the Buddha will say? Please, my brother, I know where you belong. I know. Return to the fold. I plead with you. You know our custom back home in Delta, in Roboland. I am 16 years older than you. I can't go on my knees to plead with you. I see you as one of the veritable shining stars of Roboland. I see a great future for you. I just don't want you to end on the wrong side of politics. Please, we are waiting for you, my brother Festus Keyamo. Well, that's it for today, my friends. Please, as I said earlier, like this video, share it, and by all means, subscribe, because it will help to send the message across. And who knows, perhaps it may even get to my dear brother, Festus Keyamo. Thank you. God bless you. See you next time.